Hello again, and welcome to another episode of the Fun Fans Podcast. I'm your host, James Dillard. With me, as always, my co-host, Bailey Jackson. How you doing, Bailey?
I'm good. It is officially Masters Week, so I have on my collared shirt for the episode tonight.
That's awesome. I'm officially out of town. I have on travel clothes down here in Charleston, South Carolina. We'll talk a little bit about what I've been doing recently. But we got a great show ahead. We have lots of football to talk about, and football's king, right? Well, we will discuss more talk of big college football changes, not just realignment, which I guess it is big-time realignment. We'll check on the UFL, do a little educating, and Clemson played football yesterday, so go Tigers. We'll talk a little bit about the Clemson spring game. We'll definitely catch up on all of Clemson's other spring sports. But first, the Fun Fans are a proud part of the Fanboys Fangirls Sports Podcasting Network. If you're a true sports fan, the Fanboys Fangirls is perfect for you. Find various nationwide podcasts and other sports media at thefanboys.com and all forms of social media. The Fun Fans Podcast is the official podcast for Clemson fans.
And Rubens is the official wing spot for the Fun Fans. 2 locations in the upstate to serve you, 1083 Batesville Road in Greer and 11028 Anderson Road in Piedmont. You can go to Rubens for your food, sports, spirits, and catering, and find them at rubensc.com. Rubens is simply a great place to eat for all sports fans.
You know, I hadn't been to Rubens in a while. I just got to think, I need the commercial. I'm sold. I need to get there. All right, so Clemson did a lot of football talk today. Clemson played a spring game, and Bailey, I missed it. I had every intentions to go, was planning on going, but I have like yourself, I have a junior in high school, and we were scheduling college visits, and we'll talk even more about that. I was in Clemson Friday, but the game was not Friday. The game was Saturday. Were you able to catch any of the spring game Saturday?
No, Clemson won.
Yes, they did. Go Tigers.
Tigers win.
I think it was the orange ones. I was pulling for purple, but
yep, those are the quarterbacks.
Yeah, they always going to win. So the one thing we want, couple things just to point out about the spring game. First of all, I love seeing the fans having a good time. That's what it's all about. That's the part I missed. I was invited to a couple of tailgates and had to unfortunately turn it down, but probably would have had my own tailgate if we would have went anyway. But lots of pictures on social media, and even the Clemson Athletic and Clemson football social media posting pictures of the fans and just having a good time. The weather was a little chilly, but it was really good overall. So it was a great day just to be in Clemson. Because the cool thing about the spring game, if you've never gone, you can park anywhere. So if you're like, man, I've always wanted to park in lot 2 or lot 1 or lot 5, then just, go knock yourself out. So that was always cool. And the second thing is I heard the defense looked good. I heard – the third string quarterback is always the best quarterback on spring game, right? And people, come on, it's like we say about a lot of other stuff on social media. Don't worry about it. Don't read too much into it. It's gonna be fine. And the third string quarterback, I'm sure he's a great player. I know he's a great player.
But 2-time All-State or 2-time state champion, made All-State. I mean, yeah, he plays quarterback at Clemson. He's a good player.
That's right, but it's not all of a sudden after one inter-squad scrimmage that he should be, the starter all of a sudden. But hey, you never know. And I love, honestly, if he is I hope they're all good. I love competition in the positions, and hopefully that'll be something that'll keep us positive and keep us sharp.
That's right.
All right. So anyway, speaking of college football, more news came out. This was early in the week, so it's not like breaking news today, that's for sure, or just this weekend. But there's a group called the College Sports Tomorrow folks, CST, got together, and we've heard about the super conference. Not really a proposal, but the way the SEC and the Big Ten are going, everybody's like, well, there's going to end up being a super conference, and it's just going to be everybody else. But these folks actually got together and made a proposal for a new system that would establish a 2-tier college football competition involving all 134 schools in the NCAA Division I football, okay? The CST's plan would see the top 70 programs consisting of all members of what used to be the Power Five conferences and Notre Dame and SMU. Now they're members with the ACC. And then the 70 would be sorted into 7 10-team leagues, joined by an 8th division to be made up of teams promoted from the second tier. So the second tier is the other 50 schools, and then they would, as based on their performance, would have 1 year potential to compete with the top 70 or something like that. Have you heard anything about this, Bailey?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, this is like European soccer, relegation and promotion.
That's one of the comparisons. The couple of the interesting pieces, though, is this isn't some group of reporters. It's not me and you and our friends getting together and trying to make something happen. This group is made up of NFL folks, college presidents, college ADs, NBA owners, and whatnot, and a lot of big name, big money behind it. So I don't know if it's going to get any weight or not. But a couple of other things to point out: there's no playoff committee, so with the divisions and they have their own way of qualifying. They've got the whole thing worked out. This is only for football.
Well, yeah. So the rest of the sports are left
doing whatever, right?
Right.
But they would replace the NCAA as far as oversight, and they have a plan for unions and NIL and all that kind of stuff. And obviously the pitch is that it would bring in even more money collectively than the super conference idea that the SEC and Big Ten. But the SEC and Big Ten kind of, I guess they declined their invitation to the table. So it leaves a lot of questions up in the air. We got our information from the Athletic if you want to check that out. But what is nobody – does this tell you anything in particular, Bailey, about the future of college football?
No, I mean, no, other than we're getting to a point now where, I did read one thing where players would just be paid to play for a university. They wouldn't have to go to school there. They would just be employees where they may not even be students.
Right.
They would be paid as professionals to just put on the Clemson uniform.
So it's literally the end of college football as we know it, like people have been saying. The one thing it tells me is we've got on here before, and a lot of people talked about, and the NIL needs to be dialed back. The transfer portal needs to be reeled in a little bit or whatever. I think things are moving in the opposite direction as far as those kind of things go. It's more along the lines of colleges and universities. It's going to be college and university sponsored teams,
right,
versus an actual team made up of student athletes, like you're saying. So
yeah, I mean, I think it is ruining college football. We still love college football, but look, there's got to be this is just one idea. This is just one thing. Okay, that doesn't mean it's going to happen.
There are two now. This is the second. This is the answer to
why don't we come up with ours?
We should.
I'll develop a plan in my spare time this week, and we'll put it all over the place and see if anybody talks about it.
Hey, don't get me started. I could do it. We could do it. But the thing is, you have to come up with a plan where everybody's going to make a crazy amount of money. And that's kind of my point to all this is, there used to be a saying that football is king. You and I know this, and we probably said it in a nicest possible way, or sometimes if we were, a little bit frustrated in a way where we didn't care, folks from other sports. And you and I, we're parents of female athletes. So obviously they're not football players. And you have to sometimes look at those other parents and coaches and say, because I know you've been asked 100 times, why does football get this? Football is king. Football is the one that brings in the money. It goes all the way down to every level. But this is beyond, is football king? Football is no longer the king. The money is now the king. The TV folks are now in charge. And I'm not going to disagree, but like you're talking about, it is definitely going to essentially do away with college football, and I think it might hurt college sports overall. But one thing they are doing is they're trying to put a good product out for fans. If there's anything about the old NCAA, the game is entertainment, but they were playing by the rules, and sometimes it wasn't in the fans' interest. This other approach with the money thing, it could work out better for the fans, but I don't think it's in the best interest of the student athlete. Well, there won't be student athletes anymore, and once again, that could hurt the other sports, maybe not football. So,
yeah, I mean, it's excuse me, it's sad because if you grew up like me loving ACC basketball, where's that end up with all this? They're talking about it all over sports talk radio, and I listen to it, but I don't. I'm the kind of guy where I'm not going to get all bent out of shape about something that somebody's talking about until it actually happens.
Well, and like if something like this, what happens usually is they talk about these kind of things, and then there's some type of compromise. So,
right.
But there has been a lot of just football things. Speaking of basketball and being basketball fans, basketball would be next, but it could be. We're talking years and years down the road, and it's just kind of. I really hate to use the word ruin because, like I said, I think there's going to be a good product for fans, one way or another. But it is definitely way different than what we feel like. It's no longer college football. It's just not college football,
right?
Because they're not in college. To us, what is the college experience all about? And this is what lead into what I've been doing this weekend. So we're on college visit number 3 tomorrow down here in College of Charleston with my daughter.
Okay.
We visited the East Tennessee State University Buccaneers Saturday, and on Friday we did our Clemson tour. And I'm gonna say quick. It's 3 minutes, but it's good 3 minutes to bear with me to think about. This is what the college experience is supposed to be about. Listen very carefully to our tour guide story at the end, and then Grayson's impression at the end as well.
Hey, what's up, fun fans? We're on location today. We're gonna have a little bit of seeing what's going on in Clemson on a Friday, the day before the spring game. This is something we don't see very often as sports fans. The Visitor Center, alumni, and for potential students, they are all in here at the Visitor Center, Clemson University.
It's great, but what drives innovation? Research. Clemson is an R1 research institute, which basically just means that we are highly active research. And what that means for students is that means students can get involved, have a game one weekend, or if I want to join a new club, my friends are going to do that with me. But if I need to stay in and study for an exam, my friends will also do that with me. With that, students genuinely care about seeing each other succeed inside and outside the classroom. I cannot tell you how many group chats I'm in for my classes because students just have to find a way to send around Quizlets or study guides or whatever it is for everybody in the class to succeed, not just themselves. The professors are equally as supportive. When I applied to med school this past summer, my professors that wrote me recommendation letters had offered to write me a letter before I could even get the words out. Can I have a letter of recommendation? Alumni, equally as supportive. One day I was giving a tour. We had a Clemson alumni who was a pediatrician, and he stayed after and talked to me for like 30 minutes about that transition of Clemson to becoming a pediatrician, all because of that common denominator of Clemson. The president of the university, equally as supportive. Another day I was giving a tour, and he walked past, he's like, look, you're going to make a great doctor one day. I was like, how do you know my name? How do you know I want to be a doctor? He probably just listened in. But this past football season, I got to be in the president and first lady suite for one football game, and when I was there, he remembered me from that interaction, and he offered to write me a recommendation letter for medical school. Not because I know him personally, but because he actually cares about seeing his students succeed, and even as the president of the university, he doesn't feel like he's above any individual interaction.
Oh, you have to ask me a question.
All right, we just finished the Clemson tour. We're here with Grayson Hope Dillard. What do you think?
I like it. I like how it's like not big like I thought it was. It's pretty like average. I thought it was like humongous and hard to like walk around, but it's not.
So it's kind of mid-key instead of high.
Yeah, it's mid-key.
Mid-key. All right. What is there anything that stood out as like something very positive?
I like how everything is grouped like together, like in the rings that he said, where it's like this part's academic, then this part's
Right.
like resident stuff, and then this part's like other stuff.
All right. So we got a couple of places more to visit, but right now, where does Clemson rank on your list?
1, obviously.
Go Tigers. Is this a new classic? Is it going to be a new classic Clemson experience? Getting some Raising Cane's on campus?
Yeah, so we had to end that in true Fun Fans form of where we grabbed our lunch. And
Hey, if she thinks it's small, wait till she has an 8 a.m. class over in the P&A building, like I did one semester and lived over in the Johnstone area.
yeah,
That's a hike.
it can be a hike, but I guess in her mind it was going to be even bigger. But hey, those chicken tenders at Raising Cane's are good. And that story from a tour guide, I mean, I thought that was a really good testimony. And see, it's just gonna kind of be sad if these student athletes, the adults, have created scenarios where these athletes are going to miss out on all that, and with all these hopes and dreams of going pro. And as we know, there's only a small percentage that do that. So, but that was our first.
Starts at a very early age, unfortunately.
Yeah, it does. It does. And if I sounded out of breath while I was doing those interviews,
you did a little bit.
I mean, I was, whatever. It's been a while since I walked around campus like that. But you know what? I had plenty of.
You had your W energy drink, I bet.
I had plenty of W. Just if you need some energy, go to w.gg and enter promo code FUNFANS. If you're on a college tour, like I'm about to do my 3rd in 4 days tomorrow, go to w.gg and order. Use promo code FUNFANS to get 10% off your Jitterless energy drink, and you can just be all over campus. But
you kind of knocking them out all at one time, huh?
Well, yes, and we did not do that on purpose. It's amazing. A second semester junior student is a pretty busy. Well, in between, between me and my wife and my daughter, it's kind of hard. And we had some stuff scheduled, and then it was conflicted and had to change it. And next thing you know, we're doing 3 visits in 4 days. ETSU was nice. The going up into Johnson City, Tennessee, home of the song that Hootie sang about that one time, but nice area, little drive up into the mountains. The Buccaneers, I think it's a up and coming school, but she wasn't overly impressed with that one. And still got Clemson at top of the list, but College of Charleston tomorrow, and we'll see how that goes.
All right. Well, good luck with that.
Yeah.
We are working on scheduling one to App State. And we're doing one at Clemson. Funny story about Katie's college visit. We were late. So I gave the tour. We got stuck on 85. Imagine that.
Yeah. Go figure. Well, speaking of, one of the girls on the tour with us asked about cheering. And when it was over, I went up to her and I said, hey, one of my best friend's daughter was a cheerleader here. It was a great experience for her. Basically, that was all I said. So just kind of, hopefully if she was nervous, that maybe she'll go ahead and do it. But I didn't say. I should have told her to check out the interviews on the Fun Fans podcast, but I didn't.
That's right. You didn't plug it.
You know what was funny, though, and you'll appreciate this, and we'll move on for the rest of the listeners. You would never believe who else. You'll never believe who else is on the tour. Did you recognize anybody else on the tour?
No, the screen's so small that I split my screen, so I can't see anything.
Oh, it just showed him for 1 second. It's my nephew, Jason's youngest.
Mm-hmm.
So Jason, his wife, and which is my brother for all the listeners out there. And so we had a good time reminiscing around campus. We probably disrupted class.
Yeah, y'all. Did you get called down by the tour guide?
Yeah, just a couple of times, but it was fun. All right, but speaking of the Tigers, real quick, what else is going on with some spring sports? The baseball team swept Notre Dame. Every game was close.
Sweet. Don't matter.
It don't matter. And today's game,
losses.
Yeah, today's game was it was looking like it was going to be a blowout, but then they came back and made it close. So whatever, every game was. I heard they play on turf up there.
13. Well, they have to. It's probably wet all the time.
Well, that's true. All right. Speaking of brooms, the softball team swept Syracuse as well.
Sweeping.
Yeah. Won both of a doubleheader today. The gymnastics season is now over, and I don't say that like I was ready for it to be over. I had misspoke. Didn't know how it worked this first season. So they made regionals or whatnot, and they
did not advance.
Did not advance and had a great first season. All right. Soccer. Now, Bailey and you, I know you're way more of a soccer guy than I am, but we're defending national champs, right?
Well, this is the spring season.
Oh, well,
so this doesn't matter, really.
This doesn't matter?
No.
Okay. All right.
Well, I mean, I'd have to dig a little deeper. The fall is when the national championship is, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Well, we'll start.
Did they win it last spring?
Doing a little better. So last spring is
well,
when
maybe I'm wrong. They play the whole fall schedule, but there's not a spring schedule listed because I looked earlier.
Okay, that's why I was wondering why we weren't doing. I was thinking we weren't doing a good job keeping up with it. But
no, soccer is in the fall. Pretty sure.
All right,
I could be wrong, but
we'll get back to it. But speaking of more football, all right, just a couple of things real quick about the UFL. Number one, the Houston Roughnecks and the Arlington Renegades, the chosen teams of the Fun Fans podcast hosts, are now a combined 0-4. I think we may have picked some, the two of the worst teams in the league, but they'll play each other here in a little bit, so that'll be funny. I want to point out a couple of things. So if you hadn't been watching, the UFL has some rules that are a little bit different that make it quite interesting to me. There are multiple point after touchdown options. You can get 1 point, 2 point, 3 points. And this is important because if you're down, you can be down by 8 or 9 or maybe even 10 points, depending on how much time's in the game, and it's way closer than you think. And then instead of onside kicks, you can line up and go and run a 4th and 12 play, like where you would kick it from. So that can be pretty cool. I hadn't seen that. And this might be one of the coolest ones. Not going to read all this, but the one at the bottom, if you can see this, each coach can challenge anything. Every coach has a super challenge. They got the red flag. And even if nothing's called and they think something should have been called, they can, and that's only one time per game. But they can do that. I think that's pretty cool. Another thing, when they do a challenge, and Fox is doing a great job. Fox is definitely doing a great job, including the fan, a whole lot more. They're doing a replay, and we're sitting there listening and watching the VP of referees for the UFL at the home office in LA or wherever he is. He's talking through it like he's mic'd up. He's like part of the show. So that's pretty cool. So
yeah, I would have to watch an entire game to see that probably. And I watched a piece of one yesterday. I checked in on my Renegades, and I did see where St. Louis, the Battlehawks, they said a spring football. We're calling it spring football because two leagues came together. Yeah. Spring football attendance record with 40,000 fans yesterday. So
they're getting there.
It ain't ever going to get there all the way.
Oh, well, hey, it's football in the spring. It's entertaining if you're watching something, if you need something to watch. But I watched the Bruins yesterday, and they won. Speaking of other sports, give us an O's update.
Lost the series at Pittsburgh, even though Pittsburgh's like 8-2 now. Lost 2 walk-offs back-to-back days. So they're 5-4, I think. But it's fine. It's fine. I will say this. Whit and I went to the Charlotte Knights game Wednesday night in the Norfolk Tides. The Tides are the AAA affiliate of Baltimore, and they have about 5 guys that could be on any big league team right now. There's just not a place for them. They got 29 hits and scored 26 runs and hit 8 or 9 home runs. I tell Whit, we came to a baseball game and a slow pitch softball game.
Wow.
Broke out. So anyway.
But did y'all have a good time?
Oh, yeah.
That's what it's all about. All right. A couple other sports. Well, one other sport, we got men's and women's. The Final Four, we had UConn beat Alabama. UConn's just something else because Bama played well. I think they played well. It was a fun game to watch. We talked about
every time Bama would try to punch them, it's like they'd punch them and it would just make UConn mad.
Yeah,
It's like the big guy you'd hit, and he'd go, huh, "You're making me mad," and they'd go on a run.
There's something else, I'm telling you. And Purdue and NC State, and I'm gonna stick with my story that I was correct. The UConn-Bama game was definitely more fun to watch. Did you enjoy watching whatever you said was going to be fun about the Purdue and NC State game?
I mean, I don't. But NC State didn't play well, but Purdue had a lot to do with that. I mean, I'm okay with 50-something, 40-something. That's good stuff.
Well, I ain't got much to do with the score, but anyway,
right.
But I agree with
defense.
you. I think, yeah, NC State they had some better nights, but once again, like you say, give Purdue credit. Who you think's going to win that one? You picked UConn.
Then UConn's going to win. Am I still in first place?
Nope.
Oh,
look at there.
Who's in
Here's
first?
Katie Jackson.
Oh my gosh. We will never hear the end of this if she wins. Who did she pick in the final game?
Well, she picked UConn. So I'm
locks.
So Sean's in third and he has Purdue. But Katie's 109, and I've tried to find out how many points you get for winning. I mean, Sean would have to get like, I used to teach math. What is that? 14, 15 points for the one game. And that might be do it. That might be do it. That would do it because it goes to points increase pretty quick as you get in there. So I'm going to have to see. Sean might be in it, but I'm pretty sure the rest of us are out of it. Right now, Katie sits at top, so it could come down to the final game. So there you go. The fun fans, yeah, people should have got in here, have a good time. That's been good, and we appreciate folks doing that. So that's the men's tournament talk.
Can I do the next segment, please?
Yes, you can. Let's hear it.
We would like to congratulate the University of South Carolina women on winning the national championship today, 37-0. And now we need to talk about UConn and the call against UConn with other 5 seconds versus Iowa.
Okay, so I kind of know what you're going to say, and I'm not getting into whether that was a foul or not. I'm not talking about whether it was a foul or not. I'm talking about whether it should have been called or not.
All right, so tell me what happened because I was in La La Land by then probably.
It is a 1-point game. UConn and Iowa are just going at each other back and forth and changing leads. It was a great game. It's one of the best games of the tournament, men's and women's so far. And I was up by 1 point. There's 6 or 7 seconds left on the clock, and UConn brings it up all the way, from the other end of the court. So they're in the 3-point line area with 4-5, 3.6 or something. It's going to be the last shot. You're going to play tough defense, and you're either going to win it or lose it on this shot. And this girl sets it. So they're all around each other.
They call it's the illegal screen, right?
They called the illegal screen. And I mean, the girl was over here. They stepped over there. I mean, they did the same. All the players, including the girl they called the illegal screen on, did the same thing and made the same movements that players do the whole game, every game, boys and girls. And in this scenario, they called the foul on the girl. That's it. It's game over. Game over. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I thought it was awful. I thought it was one of those referees take now. Obviously, if there's something, and I'm gonna
look at it again. It's getting ready to come up.
Well, look at it.
I did see some highlights, and they were talking about it. I mean,
nobody, as well as I do, that referees. There's a mindset when it comes to officiating. If you got 2 rivals about to start, you're going to call it real tight at the beginning or something like that. It's not like you call every single time you see every little thing. Nobody does that. And to make that call, in my opinion, and many, many, many other people's opinion, that was just a bad time to make that call. Now, people have.
Let me. I got it right here. I'm gonna watch it.
If you watch it now in slow motion, well, it was definitely a foul.
I'm not watching it in slow motion. It's an illegal screen. I mean, it doesn't matter when it happens.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't because she sticks her elbow out.
They always stick their elbows out. They stick their knees out. They stick this out. They just run in front. I mean, they do that mess all the time. Why don't you? They don't call it all the time. The refs missed 5 3-point second lane violations on Purdue the whole game. My man's camping out. He had a tent, little fire going. You know, nobody ever called that. If all the technicality people, well, that was a foul. Well, yeah, it was a foul, but was it enough of a foul to call it so UConn don't even get a chance to take a shot? I mean, come on, man. That was awful. Boo.
It was a foul.
I knew you were going to say that. All right, anyway. All right, well, there you go. If anybody needs to – that's why everybody loves our show, right? To get
Right. I'm just telling you that was a foul.
I know. I didn't say it wasn't
as a
foul.
Referee, you call it like you see it, and you don't. I don't care what the time and score is. If I'm refereeing and I see it, I call it.
Yeah, that was you.
Illegal
then.
that way. Illegal. Player control.
Yeah. Anyway, for the fan experience, it sucked. But anyway, bless their hearts. Now, I will say this, going back to the Gamecocks, I think they got a little bit lucky.
We already did that part.
Well, I personally, and we'll never know now, and they still, Iowa still could have won and UConn still could have lost. But I think athlete for athlete, UConn would have matched up better against USC.
Carolina's second five's the fourth best team in the country.
I'm telling you, they're
they're loaded, so they won 37-0. Congratulations.
Yeah, it's something else. So
I will say this, James, I would never, and I hate to say this, I'm not running a play with a ball screen in that situation where that could be called, or even a screen out there in all that open space. It's very difficult to set good screens.
Well, did you watch the whole play? I mean, the girl ran around the girl.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but
it's fine.
She winged her.
You know, you got and she
looked
neat.
Foul.
I mean, you know, you ain't trying if you ain't got a little wing on it. And I love the quotes after the game, though. You know, if it shouldn't have come down to one play and all that kind of stuff, it was great. They had those are the Final Four, some great teams, NC State girls included. So, all right. So anyway, speaking of great teams, it's a one-on-one. It's you against the Green this week in the Masters. So we'll be can I whisper? Yeah. And I just need to point this out before we go. This is our 95th episode, Bailey.
Wow. And we have mentioned food on every one of them.
Yeah. So if we're going to do something, we need to have a birthday cake to celebrate the 100th episode coming up here in a little bit. We'll figure something out.
In a couple weeks.
Cake or no cake, we hope you enjoyed the show. Football is entertainment. We need to put kids first for you decision makers out there. Congrats to the Lady Gamecocks. Good luck to the Boilermakers and the Huskies. It's Huskies, right? Not Huskers, right? Huskies.
Huskies, yes, they're dogs.
Yep, tomorrow night. And hey, go enjoy some spring sports at your school. I know we talk about Clemson. This is a fan podcast. Whoever you pull for, they got teams on the field. Go out there and support them this spring. Lots of teams out there. High school too, right, Bailey? A lot of teams out there.
Bring it on out.
Yeah, go support them. And we appreciate you supporting us. Thanks again for checking us out each and every Sunday and Wednesday. Don't forget to click subscribe on the Fun Fans Podcast YouTube channel, as well as your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on social media and share. Please reach out to become a sponsor. On behalf of the Fun Fans Podcast, Jay Thriller Entertainment, the Fanboys Fangirls Podcast Network, and Bailey Jackson.
Golf clap. Thursday through Sunday. Don't call me. I'll call you.